Cześć, tu Iza, oglądacie kanał Polish with Blondes. Today's lesson is going to be about pronunciation, so something a little bit different. My first question to you is, how do we say Tuesday in Polish? Wtorek. Wtorek. Hold on a second. What's with the spelling? Wtorek. Why is there a W? Why is there a W if it very clearly sounds like an F when we say it? So this is interesting. This is where I have to introduce you to the concept of voiced and unvoiced consonant sounds. The way that we tell them apart is, to put it simply, whether or not you feel vibrations in your mouth when you pronounce them. So let's go through the unvoiced consonant sounds and their equivalents. The letter K and the letter G. By the way, this applies to English too, fun fact. K and G. So the only difference in the way that we pronounce them is the strength of it and how much we feel when we say them. K, G. Następne P, B, P, B. Następne S, Z, S, Z. So the S and Z are equivalent of each other. T and D. T, D, T, D. F and W. F, V, F, V. I would say in this one, the distinction is particularly visible. F is very soft. There's a lot of vibration going on there. Moving on to the ones that we only really have in Polish. We have the C and the Z together. T, like in pizza, and D. Well, it is Polish, so dzwon. I can't really think of a word that would be applicable in any language. Następne sh, sh, ż, ż. Again, a very clear distinction. Sz, sz, ż, ż. I ostatnie cz, cz, dż, dż. So why is this relevant? Well, let's go back to wtorek. Wtorek has a W and a T. We call this a consonant cluster, even though this one doesn't have many consonants, but it's when a few consonants are bunched up together. We can't have a voiced consonant and an unvoiced one next to each other and have them both pronounced the way that we normally would, because they influence each other. Now, whether or not it's the voiced one that influences the unvoiced one, or the other way around, there are rules for this, and it would take a lot of time to go into it. So I think that we're better off if we just use some examples to showcase this. Anyway, because T is an unvoiced consonant, it influences the W and turns it into an F sound. Wtorek, wtorek, sounds really awkward. It sounds really uncomfortable to say, and frankly, it just doesn't sound good. So in a way, the F automatically gets softened. One important rule, however, that I am going to mention to you is the use of RZ, which is ż. We almost always use RZ after the following consonants, listed now on the screen. And we need to use RZ whether or not the consonant before that is a voiced or an unvoiced one. So the RZ is going to be influenced quite a lot. It might stay as it is, so ż, or it might become a sh sound based on what comes before it. Let's look at some examples. Przejść, przejść. P is unvoiced, RZ becomes unvoiced as well. Przerobić, przerobić. Same thing. Przytulić, przytulić. The same thing. So far I'm only giving examples with a P before RZ, but we'll get to other ones later on. Moving away from RZ, here are some other examples, and I'd like you to try and figure out which one of the consonant sounds changes from unvoiced to voiced or the other way around. We already know wtorek, V becomes F. Prośba, prośba. This one's not very obvious, but the B doesn't change, therefore sh does a little bit to match how voiced the B is. So in a way we could say that sh becomes more of a j sound. This one's very common. Liczba, liczba. Which one is it? Ch becomes d. B stays as it is. B doesn't change. Babka, babka. K doesn't change. So the B becomes more of a P. We don't say babka, we say babka. Książka, książka. The K stays the same. Ż becomes sz. Książka. Prędko, prędko. Again, the K stays the same. Oh, there seems to be a pattern emerging. The K stays the same. D becomes T. Prędko. A word with pretty much the same meaning as the one before. Szybko, szybko. Again, the K stays the same. B becomes P. Szybko, szybko. Would sound really awkward to say szybko, szybko. No, very strange. Last one, I don't think anybody would expect this one, but sweter, sweter. Which consonant stays the same? Which one changes? The S stays the same, and the W changes to a F sound, sweter. Let's try a little exercise to see if you can tell which word contains a change in how we pronounce the consonants. Keep in mind that these pairs of words have nothing to do with each other, meaning-wise. I picked them out because of certain similarities in some syllables that they contain and the consonants that they used and their voiced or unvoiced equivalents. Here's the first pair. I'd like you to figure out which one of these words has undergone any changes pronunciation-wise. Trzeba, drzewa. Trzeba, drzewa. Trzeba. Krzak, grzać. Krzak, grzać. Krzak. The K has influenced the RZ, making it sound like a sh rather than ż. Bezbronny, bezpieczny. Bezbronny, bezpieczny. This one is less obvious than the other ones we've covered so far. Take a guess. Bezpieczny is the one that's changed. The consonant that has changed is the Z, and it now sounds like an S because of the P that comes after it. The P has influenced the Z. Bezpieczny. Here goes the last pair. Wszystko, wrzący. Wszystko, wrzący. Które? Wszystko. Dlaczego? It's because of the W that's now changed. Wrzący, W remains W. RZ remains RZ. Everything's the same, they're both voiced consonants. In wszystko, sh, as you might remember from before, is an unvoiced consonant sound, which influences the V, making it turn into an F. Wszystko. Much like in wtorek, the W became an F sound there as well. Side note about wszystko, you might remember how before I said that the majority of consonants are followed by RZ rather than sh, even if it sounds like a sh. But wszystko is actually an exception. Logically, it should be RZ rather than SZ, but it isn't. It's a little spelling exception. Wstać, wzrastać. Wstać, wzrastać. Wstać. Again, the W has now become an F sound. Brzydko, przykład. Brzydko, przykład. Przykład. We have an RZ, but it becomes a sh. In brzydko, there is no need for this to happen because B is a voiced consonant. Interestingly, this can also happen if the consonant in question don't even belong to the same word. I'm talking here specifically about V and Z. V is mostly in, but it can mean some other things in some other contexts. Z, usually either with or from. Let's take a look at some examples. Jestem z Polski. Jestem z Polski. There is no sound here that could be anything similar to a Z. It's an S. It's an S sound because of the P that Polski starts with. Ale jestem z Bułgarii. Jestem z Bułgarii. B is a voiced consonant, therefore Z remains one as well. I feel like at this point it's important to mention the concept of connected speech. This is something that's important but also overlooked when it comes to learning any language pretty much. And the idea of connected speech is to, well, connect words to one another when you say them out loud. So rather than saying jestem z Polski, jestem z Polski, you won't hear anybody say it like this. We're all going to say jestem z Polski. They're going to fuse together. This is connected speech. Let's try another example with z, but this time with z as with. Rozmawiam z Zuzią. Rozmawiam z Zuzią. In this one, z remains the same because Zuzia, well, it starts with the same letter and it is a voiced one. Rozmawiam z Kasią. Rozmawiam z Kasią. K, unvoiced. Z becomes an S because it's been influenced. Rozmawiam z Izą. Rozmawiam z Izą. This one's interesting. We don't have a consonant, we have E, a vowel. So what do you think happens? Z remains as it is. There's no need for it to change. Last one. Rozmawiam z tobą. Rozmawiam z tobą. What is it? An S sound. I feel like one example here that would be very memorable is kanapka z serem. Now, for some reason, my students always know the phrase kanapka z serem, a sandwich with cheese. Now look at what happens. Serem. The change in z almost makes it end up sounding like a double S. Kanapka z serem. Now, mind you, you do need to pronounce this extra S. Kanapka z serem? Yeah. Kanapka z serem. The S gets extended in a snake kind of way. Well, let's try some other examples with kanapka while we're at it. Kanapka z pomidorem? Z or s? Kanapka z pomidorem? S. Kanapka z awokado. Kanapka z awokado. Z. Kanapka z masłem. Kanapka z masłem. We haven't covered M, but M is voiced, and it doesn't have an unvoiced equivalent. Therefore, Z remains a Z. Let's now look at V, as in. Jestem w Polsce. Jestem w Polsce. Sounds very much like an F, doesn't it? Again, because of the P. Jestem w Bułgarii. Jestem w Bułgarii. V remains the same because of B also being voiced. This next use of V might be one that's new to you, particularly because I don't think it's used this way in other languages. We use it when we want to say that we play a game. So for example, I'm playing chess. Gram w szachy. Gram w szachy. sz. Unvoiced. W. F. Gram w szachy. Let's try some other ones. Gram w piłkę. Gram w piłkę. W becomes unvoiced, it becomes an F. Gram w grę planszową. Gram w grę planszową. G. Voiced. W. Remains voiced. Gram w karty. Gram w karty. W becomes unvoiced because of the K, making it a F sound. Gram w domino. Gram w domino. D. Voiced. V remains the same. I hope that this has cleared up a certain doubt that you might have had in terms of Polish pronunciation. Now, in order to have a little bit of vocabulary practice, write down in the comments below where you are. So, gdzie jesteś? Jesteś w Polsce? Jesteś w Bułgarii? Jesteś w Ameryce? Jesteś w Szwajcarii? And what you like your sandwiches with. Z czym lubisz kanapki? Lubię kanapkę z awokado. Lubię kanapkę z hummusem. Unvoiced, by the way. I think this will be it from me. Thank you very much and drop any questions that you'd like to ask below. Do widzenia. Do zobaczenia.